MyNews.Studio.
Today, 10 new marine reserves have been announced, covering over 1 million square kilometers. But the real question is, does protection written into law actually translate into meaningful change out at sea?
It's a big topic. For context, today is 2025-6/17. There's a clear momentum right now for global marine conservation. Countries like Australia, Chile, Colombia, and French Polynesia have all announced new protected areas at the UN Ocean Conference. But can we pinpoint where these reserves actually are?
Let's break it down. French Polynesia, for example, has just set aside over 1 million square kilometers as marine protected areas. Of that, 900,000 square kilometers are fully protected, no fishing or extractive activities allowed. Australia is targeting 30% high protection within its exclusive economic zone by 2030. Chile is focusing on the Salas y Gomez and Nazca ridges, which are high seas areas, so they're outside any single country's control. Colombia has established the Serranía and Bajo Nuevo marine protected areas in the Caribbean Sea.
Those are enormous commitments, but does simply declaring these zones actually make a difference? What's happening to ensure they're genuinely protected?
That's really the central challenge. Enforcement and management are crucial. For instance, in Belize, the Turnefi Atoll Sustainability Association uses a blended finance model. This means combining donor funds, visitor fees, and impact investments to support long-term management. Technology is also part of the solution. Digital monitoring tools help spot illegal fishing and gather ecological data.
So, like satellite tracking, real-time alerts for suspicious vessels, that sort of thing? And quick data for enforcement teams?
Exactly. Those tools are now in use in several regions. But there's another side to this. What about the people who live near these reserves? If rules are too strict, do they end up hurting local fishing communities?
Right, because restrictions can have real economic impacts. How are local voices being included in the management of these areas?
In many of these new reserves, community engagement is now central. Local communities are often at the table, helping make decisions. Some areas allow artisanal fishing. Others focus on sustainable aquaculture or ecotourism. Economic diversification plays a big role. When people can guide tours or run eco-lodges, there's less pressure on fishing and more incentive to support conservation.
Is there evidence this approach actually works? Are there places where ecological goals and local livelihoods find a balance?
Yes, one example is California's Marine Protected Area Network, which has combined scientific data with community and indigenous participation. The result has been biodiversity gains and stronger local support. Belize's Turnefi Atoll Marine Reserve is another case. Here, financial innovation and outreach have both played a part.
That leads us to the larger goal, the 30 by 30 initiative. The idea is to protect 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. How far along are we?
We're not quite there yet, but these new reserves are a significant step. Many countries have made historic commitments, but challenges remain, especially around international cooperation, funding, and constant enforcement. If we can overcome those, the benefits are significant. More resilient fisheries, greater biodiversity, and better protection against climate change.
Are there any new strategies or concepts being proposed for marine protection?
Yes, one emerging idea is marine prosperity areas, which link ecological restoration with community well-being. There's also funding from groups like UNESCO and the Velux Foundation for climate resilience projects in these protected zones. And globally, there's a noticeable shift toward integrating indigenous rights and traditional ecological knowledge, as seen in California and in the Caribbean's Actioning Blue strategy.
So, individual choices can still matter. Supporting local conservation, choosing responsible seafood, backing the 30 by 30 movement, are those meaningful steps?
They do make a difference. If these reserves are managed well and communities are engaged, we could be at a real turning point. But it's going to require steady commitment, both locally and globally, to turn these promises into lasting change.
So today we've looked at new marine reserves, enforcement challenges, community involvement, and the broader push for ocean protection. The next decade will be crucial. Will these efforts actually lead to healthier oceans?
Thanks for joining us. This episode was brought to you by MyNews.Studio. Try it out for free.